Oil and gas brings in tons of money to New Mexico, as you know, and a continued boom in the Permian Basin is certainly reflected in the state budget. But many companies, including those from out of state, are polluting beyond even what regulations allow, with few repercussions. Our Land senior producer Laura Paskus talks with Jerry Redfern, a reporter with Capital in Maine, about the role his reporting played in recent fines levied against two Texas companies. And the two also talk about New Mexico's outsized role in the planet's warming climate.
Welcome, Jerry Redfern.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for having me on.
So regulators recently fined Matador Resources, an oil company out of Dallas, and Chisholm Energy out of Fort Worth. And the New Mexico Environment Secretary says the fines came out of your reporting. Can you walk me through what was happening and what might change?
Yeah, so back in 2019 and 2020, the EPA came into New Mexico and Texas as well and did a series of overflight programs where they had a helicopter with a special camera attached that could see gases that come out of oil and gas operations, essentially, things that are normally, you can't see with the naked eye. And so they flew around and they found all these different sites from all these different companies that were polluting. And I think a number of people knew that this was happening, but there wasn't any, particular reporting on it. So I dug around into it a little bit and saw that the EPA had been closing these cases out with essentially a slap on the wrist, telling most of these companies essentially, don't do that again. And the company's saying, okay, you got us, we won't do that again, which, isn't a particularly effective way to keep companies from doing things. There were a couple of small fines that were involved in that, but really, they were going through all this effort to find oil and gas polluters and then not doing anything about it. So I wrote about that. And I don't think that New Mexico Environment Department Secretary James Kenney really knew that these companies were essentially being let off by the EPA. He was kind of shocked and I think unhappy about it. Senator Martin Heinrich's office also saw the reporting and got in touch with the EPA and asked them what was going on. And since then, starting a couple of weeks ago, the EPA and NMED have started announcing the first couple of what's supposed to be several settlements with these companies with punishing fines involved in that. So Matador was fined $1.2 million, roughly speaking, and is going to pay millions of dollars more in upgrades to their facilities in the Permian Basin. And Chisholm Energy has been fined about $440,000, but then also has to do millions of dollars worth of upgrades to their facilities as well. So, and then Secretary Kenney also said that there's many more of these that are coming along. It's just that they're taking a long time to sort of get prosecuted and get them all worked out.
And I think you have some of these videos. Maybe you could pop one up on your screen for us while we talk about emissions from these oil wells and facilities. Like, what is coming out? We know greenhouse gas emissions contribute to climate change, but what are some of the other things that are coming out of these facilities?
Well, it's actually this funky cocktail of stuff that comes out. So the main component is called methane, which is the main component of natural gas. And here I'm showing you a video of one of these Matador facilities that caught the EPA's eye initially. And what we're seeing here is we're seeing essentially an infrared scale of gases that are coming out of a set of tanks. And the black clouds that you see are the methane and natural gas and the various other sort of, as I call them, fellow traveler chemicals that come along with the natural gas. And they're called volatile organic compounds. And what they tend to do in the air is they're by themselves pretty poisonous, actually. But what they also do is bond with other molecules in the air to create ozone. And ozone is a particularly harmful air pollutant. It's really, really harmful for kids' lungs, growing lungs, and also for the elderly, and leads to breathing problems and health, lung-related health effects down the line. So, and this is pouring out of stuff all over in the Permian Basin.
Let's talk about the Permian in general. Can you characterize, for those of us who maybe haven't been down there recently, what's happening down there?
Well, it's kind of funky. It's the Permian's like this really big it's arid semi-desert area. There's not a lot of people. There's not a lot of trees. There's not a lot of clouds. There's not a lot of hills, but it just sort of rolls a little bit. And when you drive across it, all you're really seeing are these oil wells, gas wells, and the processing facilities that go along with them every mile or so, just pop, 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 pop as you drive down the various roads. And then it's also interspersed with this grid of dirt roads that lead all over the place. And down all of those dirt roads, it's the same sort of thing, just pop, 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 oil well, gas well, processing facility. And about the only traffic you see out there in this whole area that used to be ranch land, the only traffic you see out there now are big trucks moving oil drilling equipment around, big trucks hauling produced water from these wells around. And then the pickup trucks are the guys who work on these wells, going from well to well to well to, set them up, take them down, do the monitoring work. So it's turned this, rather large stretch of this large corner of New Mexico that takes a long time to drive across. I mean, it's not an inconsiderable amount of land, and essentially turned it from rangeland into an industrial zone. It's an industrial work zone.
So yeah, lots and lots of oil and gas development down there. I've heard the Permian called a climate bomb for the amount of drilling that's going on. And then all of that oil is exported, used here, goes out to create more greenhouse gas emissions. Do you have a sense of how New Mexico is contributing to the global problem of climate change?
Yeah, it's really an outsized contribution considering the size of the population in the state, the state's population, compared to the amount of development that goes on here. You brought up the idea of a climate bomb going off here, and that I think it's a really interesting phrase to use that I know a lot of environmental groups use. I think, it's a little bit different than that, I think, in my mind, and the way I think about it. And the fact that I sort of stumbled across and should have figured out a long time ago is that oil production in New Mexico has gone up tenfold since 2010. I mean, 10 times the amount of oil we're pulling out of the ground now that we did in 2010, and about 2.5 times the amount of natural gas. And it has been a pretty steady rise in those 13 years. It hasn't been a bomb going off. It's not like it's suddenly zero and goes all the way up to 100. It's been a steady progressive climb upward, and it's continuing to do that as well. And I think the idea of it being a climate bomb is this idea that if we continue to do this drilling in the state, we won't be able to, mitigate and cope with the biggest effects of climate change that are coming up down the road.
I'm glad you brought that up because recently the United Nations put out yet another report that humans are not on track to limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, which means we are in for, and I'm quoting, climate disasters will become so extreme people cannot adapt. Heat waves, famines, and infectious diseases will claim millions of additional lives, and basic components of the Earth system will be fundamentally, irrevocably altered. So we just finished up a legislative session. What did the New Mexico legislature do this year in terms of mitigating, adapting to climate change?
Well, to put not too fine a point on it, they did just about nothing. All of the notable regulations that would have gone into somewhat further regulating the oil and gas industry in the state, which again is the largest greenhouse gas emitter in the state, they all died. And they didn't just die, they died in committee before they really got a chance to get a full airing in front of the legislature and really in front of the state. And it was, I have to admit, it was kind of surprising to me, if for no other reason as well, is that none of these laws that were proposed, none of these bills that were proposed, actually were designed to stop oil and gas production. They were just bringing in slightly further regulations to vet better people who could do oil and gas drilling in the state, and it's pretty wide open now to anybody doing that. It opened up the door to citizen suits to be brought against oil and gas companies that weren't following state laws, because as sort of hinted earlier, the state doesn't really have the resources, or isn't putting the resources toward doing enforcement of the oil and gas laws that we already have on the books. So that law would have allowed citizen groups to take up those sorts of lawsuits. And then there was a reformation of the basic 1935 Oil and Gas Act that much of states' oil and gas production operates under at this point, that has not been drastically updated in years. And it was looking to add in protections for human life, which I think is a pretty decent idea. And then for the natural environment that goes on and tries to live around these oil and gas facilities.
Well, disappointing news, but thank you so much for your reporting. As the fines against the two companies show, like reporting like this really does matter. So thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Laura. It's been great.